more leftists call themselves Christian, and the church needs more leftists in it. I think we'd live in a better world if that were the case.
This is Rock That Doesn't Roll, the story of Christian music. I'm Andrew Gill, a music journalist who grew up listening to Christian rock.
And I'm Leah Payne, author of God Gave Rock and Roll to You, A History of Contemporary Christian Music.
And today on the show, it's an Andrew special. We had a Leah special with recently. But this one, it's all me. This is an artist who a lot of our listeners might not associate with Christian rock if they know of them. They're a little more underground. The artist is Emperor X. But I know this guy as my old friend going all the way back to middle school, Chad Matheny.
Oh.
So I'm so excited to have my old friend Chad and the prolific folk punk artist Emperor X on the show. I think we make it very clear why he's on Rock That Doesn't Roll. So it's not just, it's not just me.
Andrew's greatest hits.
Yeah.
Actually, I really enjoyed this conversation because it was a little insight into baby Andrew, into adolescent. Before he was a respected music journalist and producer, he was just a kid like any other. I thought that part was fun. Got insight into baby Andrew Gill.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of flashback. I haven't gone to a high school reunion, but this felt kind of like that. So, but yeah, Chad is a extremely insightful musician and thinker, and he's had a illustrious career with podcasts. On 99% Invisible, he wrote a very memorable song that they used on an episode long ago. We get into that. And he currently is a resident of Germany. And so this is our second interview conducted from Germany this season. So
I know we're like transnational this year to Germany, mostly to Germany.
Mostly to Germany.
I don't know exactly.
Well, in Norway, we've had a couple of Norway interviews
That's right.
too,
That's right.
Recorded.
We're European.
Yes, very European. So you hear that European festivals bring us over. We'd love to, show
That's
up.
right.
And we don't speak all the languages,
but we have enthusiasm and interest. Yes, bring us out, and we will gladly visit and make a few cool episodes along the way. I like how we're pitching ourselves to just countries.
Yeah,
it's World Cup season. Why not?
Yeah, World Cup, exactly. All right, so stick around. Emperor X coming up on Rock That Doesn't Roll.
This show is supported by Blue Land. We hear a lot about microplastics in oceans and food, but they can also come from products we use every day at home, including cleaning products. Blue Land is on a mission to make it easy for everyone to make sustainable choices. Blue Land believes that hardworking, clean products can be the norm, not the exception, so that you can do better for your family and the planet at the same time. From cleaning sprays and toilet bowl cleaner to dishwasher and laundry detergent tablets, Blue Land's products are independently tested to perform alongside major brands, and the formulas are free from dyes, parabens, and harsh chemicals. You'll love not having to choose between the safe option and what actually gets your house clean. Blue Land is a certified B Corp and Leaping Bunny cruelty-free certified. Their formulas are EPA's Safer Choice certified, and many products have also earned Cradle to Cradle's Gold Material Health Certificate. If you're looking to make a small change in your routine, you can get 15% off your first order at blueland.com/prx. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/prx. blueland.com/prx. This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Let's get the disclosures out of the way first. This is an artist who records as Emperor X, but I know him as my old buddy from middle school, Chad Matheny. Welcome to Rock That Doesn't Roll, Chad.
Thanks for having me.
This is so sweet.
And I should also say that
Welcome.
Not just buddies, but also my sort of source in a lot of ways for excellent music. So Andrew was in a scene of people. I remember vividly buying. It was either Truman's Water of Thick Tum, or a Starflyer record, or something from you in the hallway for like $5 or $10, and it felt like you. So Andrew in high school was this like adorable, tall, lanky kid, and it just felt like you were my like indie rock drug dealer.
Oh, sure,
You're like, I got the good stuff right. I got gold right here.
It was probably my older brother if it was Truman's Water, but funny enough, Leah knows Truman's Water because she's from Portland. So
huge fan.
True.
Yeah. And then Soul Junk, of course, more directly in the world we cover with the Christian rock. Well, your musical project is not Christian rock, but I will point out, I want to front load why our listeners who might not know your work would want to listen to this episode, right? And so, for one thing, a lot of our listeners probably are familiar with Burnt Toast Vinyl, and I do know that Scott Hatch of Burnt Toast Vinyl seems to be the world's biggest Emperor X fan, at least based on his online behavior. I think you're his favorite artist, maybe, in the world.
He's also among my best friends, and just a huge. Even if he weren't among my best friends, I think he would be a huge supporter of artists in general. I met Scott at Circle of Hope in Philadelphia. You familiar with this venue?
Vaguely, but I don't. Yeah, tell us what it is.
So to say that I'm not Christian rock is accurate, but it skips over quite a bit. So I'm from the evangelical universe. Like I was raised in that world, and philosophically, theologically, whatever. I've always had a toe slightly like a toe never left that world. Mm-hmm. And not for any of those reasons, I was booked at a venue called Circle of Hope in Philadelphia, which was kind of a combination music venue / hipster Unitarian church. And Scott was running sound that night, I believe. And I sang a couple of songs that had like vaguely liturgical themes, I guess. Like I have a song called Allahu Akbar. We play bombs under tracks, we skip church and fall in monotheism. I have a song called Allahu Akbar and a song called Hallelujah, and I played them both. And I think Scott resonated with it, and we hung out pretty hard after. And Scott Hatch and I go way back, as they say. I think that was 2005 or 2006.
Nice. Yeah, you're here now because you have a new album called Unified Field, and the lead single is called Praise Jesus, Hail Reagan.
Correct.
And so that is a fascinating project. I want to get all the way into that later in our conversation after we've given your backstory, but give us like the briefest of explanations of that project, and then we'll get deeper into it later.
I have been recording a lot of songs and also have a ton of friends in Ukraine because I've been playing shows there for many years now. I guess it's accurate to say. At the start of the war, my wife and I were pretty active in refugee aid, and I'm pretty salty online in my my fairly vocal support and advocacy for Ukraine winning. And this emo kid from Ukraine who liked my stuff invited me to come over, and obviously I'm going to say yes to that. Like, that's amazing. So he set up some shows in Sumy and Kharkiv and Odessa and Kyiv and Kremenchuk and Ternopil and a few other places I'm forgetting, I'm sure. Khmelnytsky. right? I forget. Anyway, if I forgot you, I'm sorry. Moi drodzy. But yeah, so I was finishing this record and I was distracted with anger because I kept seeing places where I knew people getting bombed, and realized I just needed to finish this record around the people that I was thinking about while I was writing the songs. It's not a record about the Ukraine war in any sense. I write somewhat imagistically, and I think it's difficult to say any of my songs are, quote, about anything, at least not in an intentional way. That said, I think they do wind up being about things when I'm around people, when I'm finishing them. So I phrase it as like an aesthetic emergency. Like I've got to get there and be around these people and finish this record.
Then took a train to a small town a few hours south to track some singers Yaroslav recommends. But then I heard the Russian Federation drones above me again in a location that was hard to defend. They hit the Zaporizhia generator, and now I'm pissing with the flashlight on again. I'm pissing with the flashlight on.
And that's how Unified Field came to happen.
I wanted to pick up on your origin story here, because you mentioned sort of offhandedly, maybe, but it seems like a very important detail that you grew up in the evangelical-ish tradition. And I would love to know a little bit more about that. Andrew, let me know about you. And I've read an interview where you talked about growing up with parents who had all kinds of apocalyptic predictions about the world. And so I kind of make some assumptions about the type of evangelicalism that you grew up in, but would love to know a little bit more about that.
It's funny you asked that after the Unified Field question, because I do think in retrospect, my attraction to wanting to be around people who are going through a tough time probably comes from my religious upbringing. So I was in the evangelical, like specifically Pentecostal, specifically Word of Faith and Prosperity Gospel.
Okay, now
traditions.
we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, when I say Pentecostal, I mean like full on, like no snake handling, but like, you know, I went to Benny Hinn rallies, so you must know who that guy is.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I grew up Pentecostal as well. So.
Okay. So you know this stuff. Like I grew up singing Kenneth Copeland. Like I have a Kenneth Copeland album, like vinyl. Like that man sings as well as extorting money.
You know, I grew up, I had, of course, Swagger, who I maintain was an excellent musician. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, sure. Like, so my church was the one that I remember as the most common or the most influential thread was called New Covenant Ministries. They were a big church / school / astronomical observatory / radio station in the middle of a forest on the outskirts of Jacksonville. At the time it was the outskirts. Now it's like, you know, the middle. It was within the Beltway, but at the time it was pretty undeveloped. And honestly, I have positive memories of that place as a kid, especially. What I don't have positive memories about are the education side of things. Like I was taught about evolution as a pseudoscience. I was taught that the Earth is 5,500 years old. A lot of things that are you know counterfactual. But on the positive side, I was in a community that had a purpose. There was this radio station. They welcomed the kids to come in and hang out in the air. I remember this one guy, Bernie Gonzalez. I hope he's still around. What's up, Bernie Gonzalez? He was a DJ. And there was a church band. They let the kids come hang out and play music. And it wasn't just about like making ourselves better or enriching ourselves or saving ourselves. It was about, I remember vividly, there was a map of the world on the wall of the church. And this is what evangelism was at the time when I was a kid. It was like, we had missionaries come and they would speak and you donate. And it wasn't just to convert their souls, although that was part of it. But we would build, you know, water treatment facilities and basketball courts and these sorts of things. And in retrospect, I see this as very much a mixed bag. Like it wasn't all bad at all. I think these people had, in many cases, their hearts were in the right place, but they were sort of on a rail, like a ideological rail that once you're on it, it's really difficult to press eject from.
Rock that doesn't roll.
Rock That Doesn't Roll is supported by larryscoffee.com, a roaster from Raleigh, North Carolina. Very high quality coffee beans.
Oh, wow. Just this morning, I brewed myself a little pot of Ethiopia Sidama. Their Sidama Pharaoh, I think is how you say it. Their light roast. It takes a lot to get someone who is from the Pacific Northwest to enthusiastically endorse coffee from outside this region because, we're coffee divas out here. But I love this coffee. It's so good. It was really light. And I used to be a barista. I don't know if I've mentioned that.
That's established lore at this point, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I am in retirement, but those skills just never go away. So I love this coffee.
Yeah, I tried the Bean Martin in a French press, and I was very happy with how that tasted. But, the more I looked into, we were approached by Larry's Coffee, and I was like, well, I got to check this out and see if there's any reason not to do this. They are a certified B Corp. Their coffee is all certified organic and fair trade. In their shop in North Carolina, they use rainwater to flush the toilets. I mean, I can't find any reason to not like Larry's Coffee. So if you want to support the show, you can go to larryscoffee.com/RTDR. And if you buy from them, they support us. We hope that you'll check it out. They've been there since 1996. That's the perfect year to have established a coffee company, right? 1996.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. It doesn't get better
Perfect
than that.
vintage. So larryscoffee.com/RTDR. Check it out.
One thing that you said that caught my attention was I have joked with people that if you know people of a certain age who grew up in Pentecostal or charismatic Christianity, the big churches always had, those kind of warehouse churches would have flags from all over the world.
Yeah, we
in
have
them,
that too.
The nations. Yeah. Yes.
We were, and this is something that I think Christianity, especially in its contemporary strain, has lost sight of, is the universalist aspect of Christian grace. That's a whole other topic we can talk about another time, I suppose. But yeah, we had those flags too. I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
And
but did you have flag dancers?
We didn't have that. That's a nice.
Oh
one.
yeah, we had that.
No,
it might have been
those.
more of a West Coast thing, but we don't.
Maybe.
We can keep going. I don't want to derail this.
So that church predictably exploded because of interpersonal issues, and it was a non-denominational church, which means there was no accountability network for abuse of power, which of course happens when you have a lot of money flying around. So we ping-ponged around churches. It wound up at Assemblies of God, wound up at the Vineyard. Any number of tongue-talky stuff. And I remember vividly when I left the church, I was about 15 or 16, I had a meeting with the church pastor because I wanted to know if we were Calvinists or not.
Oh,
And
wow.
I will never forget his answer, which was, I have no idea. Why does it matter? And I ejected. Those weren't his exact words, but that was the vibe I was told. I also don't want to throw any shade on these people. I think they, thought they were doing the right thing. Thought they were keeping kids out of trouble or whatever. No diss. But I left, and I also didn't like the way that people treated people that we would now refer to as queer, but gay folks, lesbian folks, non-binary folks that we didn't have that word for at the time. Weren't treated well in the church. Maybe individually they might have been, but they were seen as kind of like a, well, God loves you, but he doesn't love your sin. And that didn't track to me. I sort of became, for a while, quite lost. And, have ever since and still do identify as an agnostic because I think the assumption that exactly what exists outside of the layer of human knowledge is just absurd hubris. So yeah, at the same time as all of this, I was learning, I played in the church band, right? So I had all of these heretical thoughts while I was doing a bass solo on Our God is an Awesome God, going on church tours, actually funny story. I've never verified this, but I know that there was a member of Yellow Card named Todd, and I know that Todd is an ex-evangelical like me, and I also know that there was a guy named Todd in our youth group band who looks a lot like that guy. So I'm not entirely sure, but I'm like 70, 80% sure that I was in the youth group band with one of the guys from Yellow Card, or he was in the band briefly or something. Really, really nice guy.
Well, our classmate Peter Mosley was in Yellow Card too. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, yeah. Anyways.
So anyway, I was in music and all this time, and I ever since I was a kid, I loved music. I had like a pretend radio station in my room. I would listen to FM 88.1 FM.
Yeah, me too.
And they would play all the CCM stuff that basically wrote the firmware of my musical brain.
Yeah, you sent us a playlist of some of your favorite bangers from back in the day. Are there any you want to highlight or?
Oh yeah, please do.
There are too many. They're just like, I can actually, if you want to put it in the show notes, I can make you a playlist, especially of like, Chad's top 20 CCM hits.
Yes, please.
So I've had waves of interest in Christian contemporary music, well, primarily because I've had waves of interest in like what I don't think this is the right word for it, but my spiritual development. I mean, there have been times when I was 21 years old, I was convinced I was going to hell again, and then I've vacillated my whole life with one foot in the church and one foot out, stabilized after age 22 or 23. But point is, there were a lot of times when I was motivated to find music that looked at the world and that offered something besides a strictly atheist, materialist, individualist mindset, which is offered by a lot of secular quote-unquote music as well. But I was really, really gravitating towards, when I was in high school, especially Starflyer. That was like a band that I was like, oh wait, because it's always been like whenever you're raised evangelical, there's always like 1 or 2% of you that's worried that you're going to hell. But when I listen to Starflyer, I'm like, I'm having the same experience, if not even better, than when I listen to Nirvana. But I'm also sure I'm not sinning. because Tooth and Nail is on the
right,
plate,
right.
You know?
Do you remember
That's
Joe
so
Christmas?
sweet.
Joe Christmas was a big deal.
Skate. That's a jam.
Yeah. Also a Tooth and Nail band, but it's not completely as clear as with Starflyer.
Well, but a lot of the Tooth and Nail bands weren't, right? Like there was always this like, I never quite, like the 1 or 2% of me that thinks I'm always going to hell never quite trusted Tooth and Nail, because I was like, wait, this is a marketing ploy, quote unquote Christian. Are you really?
Yeah.
Come on, DC talk. I don't believe that.
Well, maybe that was the right instinct. Yeah.
And then in recent years, I think especially since the Ukraine war, weirdly, I became more explicitly interested in like, re-exploring, like, I'm no longer quite satisfied just simply saying I'm an agnostic. I think I pretty strongly do believe in a thing. I just, what I tell people that get worried when I say that, I say, I don't believe in Skybeard Jesus God. There is something that's bigger and better than us. And I think if or maybe there isn't, right? I have no idea, but I choose to believe this. And so when I started thinking that, I was like, I wonder if there's any good ECM stuff that I passed over. So I got really into a bunch of stuff and found some terrible stuff too.
Wait, can I ask you to back up there for a second?
Yeah.
You said that it was the Ukraine war that was a pivot point for you. And I just wonder if you could talk a little bit more about that.
I think there's nothing particularly unique about my renewed attraction to thinking about again, I don't like this term, but spiritual, what I think most people would consider spiritual matters. I started I have a bunch of graduate education experience too, and I started a program in the philosophy of science at Leibniz Universität Hannover. It's a analytic philosophy MA, and
wow,
this is, I think, what wound up driving me again to think about theology, because I think there are a lot of unanswerable questions about the origin of stuff at all that you eventually get to in philosophy. So I started thinking about that. That happened to coincide with the criminal invasion of Ukraine, the full-scale part of it anyway, in 2022. And I don't know if particularly they had anything to do with each other, but it did coincide, and certainly it was nice to think about that stuff as the world took this like very dark turn in the 2020s, which we're unfortunately still living through.
Yeah. And, I wonder if a project you did earlier than that, the collaboration with 99% Invisible, when you wrote the Ray Cats song. So we'll have to explain this in a nutshell. There's an episode of the podcast 99% Invisible about the efforts that people are making to warn future generations away from nuclear waste and radiation harms. And so the question is, what can you create that would tell someone 10,000 years from now to stay away from something? And so you were enlisted to write a song that might be passed down as a folk song.
It's convoluted. Yeah.
It's very convoluted, yes. About cats that were bred to change colors if they are near radiation. So the idea is like, if these certain cats change colors, humans need to know that means danger and stay away from that place, right? And so you wrote a song about it.
Don't change color, kitty, keep your color, kitty, stay that midnight black. The radiation that the change implies can kill, and that's a fact. The radiation, whatever that is something we don't want. Cause it withers our crops and it burns our skin and it turns our livestock gone. So don't change color. Little kitty, don't flash your eyes, so don't change color.
This idea comes from a semiotician named Paolo Fabri. There's a second chapter that most people don't know to the story. There was a French documentary filmmaker that found Paolo Fabri, played him that 99PI episode, and played him my song. So this video of Paolo Fabri before his death a few years ago, like nodding his head politely to my bizarre folk song that embodied his idea. So I think I've always had an interest for sure in international relations, and for sure in like a quasi like theological science fictional like far future imagination. I think if I didn't have a musical part of my brain, I would have definitely been some kind of science fiction writer. Which who knows,
Yeah.
I'm young.
I was listening to this guy Martin Shaw. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's very into like myth. He's an English guy. And he has a new book called, I think, Liturgies of the Wild. But he's very much into like reading landscape as deep history, which is kind of like what you were attempting with the Ray Cats song, but like looking forward instead of back, And a lot of like religious belief can also be viewed in similar terms, like this guy didn't begin his life as a Christian, but he has become a Christian through his work through examining myth and that's type of thinking. So I was trying to connect those two, thinking about, this atrocity in Ukraine and then also your own work on the Ray Cats project and,
I think there's
thinking
something
in
there.
Those broad terms.
There is a preoccupation. I think that it's not just me, but I think a lot of artists feel like I feel the spirit of it in the song "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears. Everyone knows this song. There's something about the feel that song generates that I think sort of reintroduced it, this like Cold War terror of human extinction that has reintroduced itself into our culture very assertively in the 2020s, pretty much since COVID. And you might even argue since like, the financial crash in 2008 or the first Trump presidency or whatever. But for sure, it's like this unease. And I think in these waves, people do tend to turn to larger questions to see if, like, what's the point of all this suffering and misery and annoyance. And I don't think I'm unique in this respect of like looking towards those things. I do think in certainly in indie rock and punk rock and whatever emo, folk punk, whatever you call the genre that I orbit around, I think it's certainly not like uncool or anything. I think there are a lot of people with open-minded thoughts about spirituality, but it tends to be like non-Western spirituality that they're more interested in. So I think I don't know. I think my slipping of, periodically, like God comes up a lot in my lyrics. The the two named, the two explicitly religiously themed songs, Allahu Akbar and Hallelujah, and now Praise Jesus, Hail Reagan. It comes up a lot, and I think people respond to those songs heavily, and I think a part of the reason why they do is because we, in our musical culture, and I mean our musical subculture, punk rock, indie rock, emo, folk punk, have this association of religion with oppression. And I see why that happened. I obviously see where religion has been an oppressive force. It would be foolish to not see that. But I don't think it's the whole story. And I think if therefore we force ourselves to have faith that there is no God, which is what atheism is in my view, then we're missing out on a big, beautiful chunk of human experience. And I don't think we have to fork out our guts like that. I think there's a lot of room to be explored in thinking about unanswerable questions. Like we don't, our songs don't have to be completely polemical or analytic, right? Like I think it's completely fine to sort of throw things at the wall and see what they might mean in 5 or 10 years. And that doesn't stain anyone who uses religious imagery or religious thinking with the sins of the church. There have been horrible things that have been done by religious organizations, still are. I think you might even say the majority of it. But I don't think that means that artists, and certainly not progressive humanist artists with universalist tendencies, need to cede that territory to nationalist homophobes. Sorry, that's ours too.
The rock that doesn't roll. Doesn't roll.
You noted the place of God talk in the indie-ish scene, and I wonder what have been some formative songs or artists that deal with that subject matter that have informed your work over time?
That's a great question. The Ecstasy song, Dear God. I think that's a hammer blow to anyone who doesn't want to address the problem of pain and suffering.
Dear God, sorry to disturb you, but I feel that I should be loud and clear. We all need a big reduction in amount of tea.
Interestingly, what I don't find satisfying is any of the talk about God in any of the CCM music. With the exception of Michael Rowe, I think he's kind of, at least in a certain phase of his music, kind of honest about his doubt in a Pauline sense.
The lust, the flesh, the eyes, and the pride of life.
I find the easy God as easy answer very uncompelling. Like that's just sentimental claptrap. The way Leonard Cohen writes about God was very convincing to me. I don't know what his faith was. He was a Buddhist Jew. But like, I don't know what he really thought about like the like theological structure of the universe, or if there is one. I think the one guy that I'm thinking of right now is Pedro the Lion, obviously. I don't know if you were there, Andrew. You might have been away at college, and I think I was too. I happened to be home, but he played Jackrabbits. Oh no, and I'm sorry, I wasn't there for this. I was there at a different show. He played Jackrabbits, and people tell me that he did the following when he played. You know, because people were, is he or isn't he? And he would play songs about, devastatingly beautiful songs about his unfaithfulness to his family, and then he would sing about, praise God or whatever. And at the end of these songs, supposedly, I wasn't there, he looked at the audience and said, "Any questions?" Like he wanted people to like ask him.
He did take questions, yes.
Yeah.
He says that he got that from shellac. Because shellac used to do that. And so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
In a funny way, so I see them as contemporaries of mine, but there's a band called AJJ from
Yeah, you
Phoenix.
tour with them a lot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've toured with them a bunch in the past. I have very high regard for those folks. Great people. I think Sean is I think to say that Sean, at least when we were on tour, he didn't seem at all very religiously minded, but writes with a lot of anger about God. They have an album called The Bible Part 2. Like sort of in a really satisfying way, like mocking of the idea that the universe has any meaning built into it.
Until all that I can do is beg for mercy. Nothing will survive in that despair. When something I hold dear is out to hurt me, I kick that feeble dream, then whisper something like a prayer. No more shame, no more fear, no more dread.
And therefore, and this is the I think the trick that a lot of people wrongly accuse nihilists of being cynical, like, and therefore the only meaning is for all of us to care for each other. I think that's implicit in a lot of punk music, and a lot of like anarcho-derived punk music. Like there is a spiritual side to it, but it's rarely explicitly stated. It's often seen only in its opposite. It's often seen as like, there is no order, no gods, no masters. Say the quiet part that we don't say out loud, therefore we need to care for each other because we're all we've got. So I think I got a lot of that from like the folk punk scene. But I sort of jumped way off and like tried to explicitly avoid any religious themes in music after my youth immersed in CCM.
But sometimes it's hard to avoid, you were saying that about the punk world reminded me of, we spoke with Nina Hagen, the German punk godmother. And, she's a person like going through her history, like she's been talking about Jesus her whole career, but I think people just didn't take it seriously, or like, just thought, well, that doesn't match up with like everything else I'm seeing from her. And so she must just be like doing it to get a reaction, or like she must not be serious about it. But she told us herself she was, like the whole time.
And she's, I think what helps, or maybe it's she's just not American. So she has the different categories for understanding all of those things. Because I thought the same thing when we interviewed her. When she talks about her personal experience, it's quite evangelical sounding. It's very pious. And then she talks about the course of her life and her status in the music industry and in the various scenes that she's been a part of. And she doesn't sound like an evangelical Christian at all. Yeah. So, at least in the United States. Yeah.
There's one video I came across working on this where it was in 1985, this like Rio, a big like precursor to Live Aid. And she covered Spirit in the Sky. And, it's a real punk sounding, kind of ironic almost. And she had a light up cross and she like carried it around the stage on her head, like, walking around. And she's, dressed in like leotards and, garish makeup and crazy, like, and I think people might have just thought, okay, this is a joke, or like she's making fun of it, but I don't think she was,
Yeah, I think there's people have often been playing with that. So I'm reminded of John Mouse right now. You familiar with his music?
Yeah, vaguely, but yeah.
Yeah, so he's a fascinating study in this. He's like a really interesting, like so left that he's not left anymore kind of political guy. Really, like I think he may have studied theology. He's a devout Catholic, as far as I can tell. There's this whole like, hipster trad cath wave. And yeah, I think people are starting to use religious symbolism in a hipster sense that I didn't see coming. You'll never catch me doing that. I think the only literally God bless you for whatever way you find to get along in this world the best you can. But I don't admire, like, for me, like, I think agnosticism is the only honest position. And it's like overly pious.
The number one indicator that I know of that lets you know that is the case is if they have a child named Soren. That is. I'm just saying that's the first indicator.
Yeah.
Also a mustache, but there's a whole other thing with that. But,
adorable.
Yeah.
But I think with Praise Jesus, Hail Reagan, it's pretty simple. It's just like there's a little bit of love in it, but it is mostly an angry attack on what I see as the incompatibility of Christian ethics with Christian nationalism.
Praise Jesus! You're poor and dirty. If you were close to God, you'd already be rich, and you'd be clean, and you'd be worthy. Sadly, you come from far away, and you don't meet criteria for entry. But I'm really sorry, and that's what matters. Now get off of my country. Our God is an awesome God to hang with. My pastor told me God said I was cool, and that my feelings bear the weight of moral sanction, that all we have to do
the fact that criticism has to come from outside of the church is really alarming. I say this as neither a Christian nor in some technical sense as a leftist. The more leftists should call themselves Christian, and the church needs more leftists in it. I think we'd live in a better world if that were the case. And there's not enough of that right now. I'm hoping to sort of, especially in the folk punk community, like, I know that I'm not gonna start any scandals. Like, everyone knows I'm an oddball with, like, everybody, just like not standard views on all these questions about who we are and what we're supposed to be in this world. But I was hoping that I could, at the same time throwing darts at Christianity, also make my fellow progressive humanists question if maybe we might make a little bit of progress, trying to hold Christians to their own standards.
Yeah, right.
Because they're kind of our standards too. Like, I think progressive humanism, I think you can make a pretty good argument that's descended from Christianity, whether or not you believe in the divinity of Christ. I think
for sure
the cultural baggage is there with us, and I think to pretend that we can get out of this mess we're in by acting like people who have religious faith are morons is foolish.
Probably not going to go anywhere good.
No, especially like my family. I love my parents; they're good people. We don't agree about a lot of political stuff in ways that make both of us quite angry. But at the end of it, we have disagreements of fact, not disagreements of principle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I believed what they believe in a factual sense, I may also agree with some of their political positions. I think the principle is like it's different than somebody saying like, screw you, I don't care, go back to your country. I think that is practically what happens. And that's what I want to shine a light on. And I don't know. It just came out. I didn't write this. I didn't write this song to be like, I will now compose a song to, create dialogue. I was like, this sounds cool. That's what every song comes from, right?
Well, in some ways, it's like a mirror of your song it's 15 years old now, Allahu Akbar. It's like
it is exactly
it's
a mirror of Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very just one is embodying the life and viewpoint of a, jihadist militia member.
And also highlighting that Allahu Akbar is basically saying the same thing as Hallelujah. Like if we lived in a world where Christians were like the majority religion in the poor side of the world were Christianity, people would be scared when someone in a crowd said Hallelujah. They'd be like,
right.
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 Like it would have the same connotation as our ignorant selves give to Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
I climbed the ranks of militiamen and the Saderites, and my parents felt a cautious pride and disregarded Sharia law and put the tigress in a trench now. Give us rain, 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 send us water, send us trucks, 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 send us tanks, send us IED, send us planes, 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 is the sky clear enough? Send us Allahu Akbar. Talk here.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. You saw that. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that is something that emerged after the fact. It's true in Allahu Akbar as well. Like a lot of writers, I write imagistically and then sort of constellate meaning afterwards. And that Praise Jesus, Hail Reagan happened the same way. But yeah, for sure, in retrospect, I can see the symmetry there.
Nice.
I have one more question. Tell me a little bit about what Andrew was like in high school. I heard tall, lanky. I already knew that. And also into indie music. The listeners want to know what was he like?
Not that like in terms of like I think it's true for both of us actually, Andrew. I think sometimes when you go to a reunion or whatever, you see people and like, man, you're different. I think no one would have a hard time recognizing Andrew right now. Like sort of the same kind of unassuming like default kindness. Like no one had an easy time in high school. I didn't have a particularly rough time in high school, but like, we all had rough times, and you always just felt like you were kind of like, all right, when Andrew or his brother were around. Like you're gonna be okay. Also, like my relationship with cool was really weird. Like I came in ninth grade and I wasn't, and by the time I was in 12th grade, I was. And I think the Gill family was pretty instrumental in that, because they made this room for like, oh, you don't know about the cool bands? I'll tell you about the cool bands, instead of like, you don't know about the cool bands. Like
That is so cool. In
there
fact,
was an openness there that I felt with them.
Thank you.
That is so wonderful. I'm not surprised at all, because Andrew is still doing that to this day.
Of course.
For me, with me. Yeah, and all of our listeners. So that is a very heartwarming account. I'm not surprised at all. So thank you so much.
Shucks, everybody. Yeah.
Aw, shucks. Has he ever
And
played
so
any
smart
of the
and
bands
does
he
his
was in
homework.
high school?
Oh yeah.
He has played a few.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Carlin was the one
Yeah, I
that
was
we
gonna
interacted
bring
with.
up Carlin.
Yeah, we had a pop band, actually led by one of our Patreon supporters, David Henderson. Yeah.
Oh, is David Henderson going to be listening? I have thought about David,
yes.
especially over the past year, but often since 2016. I've thought so much of David. When I was writing Praise Jesus, Hail Reagan, David was in the back of my mind.
Yes.
Because like a lot of the people that I know and care about the most have had this like, relationship with the church that has, put them at odds with others in the church, but they haven't like, they didn't give up the territory. They kept like, no, I believe this thing.
The Facebook post that David does, like David tries so hard to get through to these members of his church on political things in Jacksonville. And he writes these things and puts so much thought and care into extending, open arms and explaining things that are just drive me nuts to explain over and over again.
It's incredible. And I really do think that's where the future political discourse has to be, is like reaching out to people who might seem very different than you, and like trying to like with David. I think David is honestly a big influence on me with this. I think people like David Henderson like influence. It's true for a lot of folks in his position as like a church leader. Like I think their influence on people is quiet and huge over time, like a whale under the surface of the water, you know? And that's definitely been the case. David's not the only one, but there are a lot of people like that I think about from my past. So big ups, David. Hello.
Yes. Thank you, David, for your
Peoria
support.
or bust. If David's listening, he'll know what that means.
Well, I love that we got to have a little window into the high school life of Andrew Gill, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, sure.
I would love to. I'm down to talk about theology or the leftist wing of the church or agnosticism anytime you want.
And Chad, where should people find more about you, find tour dates? Because you are going to be touring the U.S. in the summer.
Yeah, by the time this airs, I'll have a Substack, and I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Threads and all of the apps, and it's always under @EmperorX, EMPERORX. And you can also go to my weblog at crmatheny.net.
Nice. And yeah, your tour is mostly like, it's like Boston, Chicago, like a bunch of the northeastern-ish Midwest.
Well, we've got 3 dates in the Northeast, 3 in the Midwest, and 3 on the West Coast. And there are going to be some fill-in dates. By the time this airs, there are going to be some other dates too. We're just announcing in waves.
Fantastic.
Grandma gave you her icon. She got on her birthday from a Serbian soldier. The patron saint of the airport, with a note in the back. You'll understand when you're older. In the unified field, into a unified field. Material collapse.
Thanks again to Chad Matheny /EmperorX for joining us today. Thank you for listening. And a huge thanks to our Patreon supporters for making the show possible. You can become one yourself at patreon.com/RTDR.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, you can find us on Substack and Instagram by searching Rock That Doesn't Roll and at our new website, rtdrpod.com.
Of course, you should give us a rating and review on whatever podcast app you're using to listen right now. And consider supporting the show by ordering coffee from larryscoffee.com/RTDR.
Season 4 of Rock That Doesn't Roll is distributed through the Public Radio Exchange with funding from our Patreon community. It's produced by the one and only Andrew Gill.
Our original score is by Jim Cooper of Infomercial USA. If you have a story to share or thoughts on this episode, please call our hotline at 629-204-4264. Our email address is rtdrpod@gmail.com. I'm Andrew Gill.
And I'm Leah Payne. Remember, rock all you want, but watch it when you start to roll.